How's everybody doing? So, not everything's a pretty picture, eh? I want to take a few minutes here to just talk about the underside of my layout. In this case, this is the sort of the middle part of section 2. And as I'm panning, you can see it goes down. You can see the upper valance. I come down quite low here, just above my bench. But you can see some of the framing. I just want to talk about just the shelf layout framing and some of the underside of the wiring here, just to give you a little bit of a primer on how things look or how things work on my particular layout. Like, one of the reasons why I use wood and wood framing like this, you can see it's only like 2 inches thick really, but there's a bit of a rise because of the water level is at the 2-inch mark of that stringer, and then I rose up this section to gain the elevation. Which is why when you look at the layout up above, it doesn't look like just a flat shelf. But you can see where it was just basic framework, like 2 foot spacing by, like it's 2 foot wide. Like this whole section spans 11 feet. There's no legs holding it up. It's freestanding. Part of the reason why I achieved, or how I achieved that, was from my laminate and my curved fascia. It gives a long run, a linear length, incredible strength. You can see some of the angled pieces added in later for good reason. It comes to a point there, and that just, when I built this layout, I used stilts to sort of set it up, and then it does have a few legs only where they're needed, but it's generally freestanding. I got all this room underneath for my bench work. But you can see the wiring here, like see the blue. I'll just point out what some of these things are. You can see the blue switch, these blue switch machines are just Blue Point manual with power routing. Like they have switches on them, double throw DPD switches, which is nice because you can, run wires later. Like I put the leads on, even though they're not hooked up. So later if I want to run to a panel, I build all that option in. You can see this heavier gauge here. I think this is 12 solid core. This is my main bus for track only. You'll see there's 2 or 3 buses here. I have an accessory bus, a signal bus, and an extra bus here for expansion and options. I like to build that in because you're going to need it, and I can tap into it at any time. So I'm sort of in the lighting phase in section 2, up to about 2/3 of its length. As you know, section 1 and almost section 2 is done. But you can see the advantage of woodwork, right? Like when you have the bottom plate here, like even if you put foam on, you can always mount signals and screw things too. Like on my boards here, you can see, well, they're sort of behind this section here, but the signal boards are on little plates. I just use 1 or 2 screws to mount them to the bottom of the layout. It's simple. If I need to move them, I can pull the screws and shift them out of the way. It's all taking advantage of the wood structure, right? The substructure underneath. And once again, you can see it's just 2 inches basically. That's all you need for depth. And I try to keep everything up inside that 2 inches. In this case, there's actually 4, full 4 inches because of the rise in the platform and terrain, which is nice because I get all my signal boards and stuff in there. But a lot of it's not always planned. Like I added in these lateral angle struts later as I was building it out. And I use metal brackets for a reason. Like you'll see them in the corners. I do that for a reason, so I can pull these metal brackets and knock the stud or move it. Like you're going to have times where you're going to have to do that. So if you glue and screw or use other method of joinery, it's pretty tough to do. This method here, and I do it for good reason. I can pull those brackets and tap that with a hammer because it's pinned and glued, and I can move it over an inch. And sometimes it's all you need is an inch to move to get that switch machine in place. Like, it happens. It's just the nature of model railroading. And if you don't accept that, you're going to run into lots of troubles. You can see where the two sections join together, like right up in here. You can see there's heavier brackets which run down the main stringer for stability. There's a bolt up here, and then a bolt right here, excuse my hand, sorry, and then you can see one in the far corner there as well. I pulled those 3 bolts in the whole section. See this curved section here? Let me back up this light just a little bit so you can see. So right under there, there's a cut up in here in the fascia. So you can see there's 2 3/4 rails, like it separates. And the fascia has a scarf on it right here, so it pulls apart as well. And then when if you need to rejoin it, you just sand it down and just paint it over, right? So that's why I designed all this. This here is for another light. Like, I just swung this plate. Let me just move this a bit more. I swung this plate out of the way because it's part of my lighting I had to take down to access all this space to finalize my wiring here. You can see above too where the lights are. So the above valance is pretty much a carbon copy of the 3 sections. The 3 lower sections, like I made 6, right? I made 6 sections. 1, 2, and 3, and then 1, 2, and 3 above, and I just raised the ones above to create my shadow box. You can see all my wiring like underneath the same, see? So I made 6. So the top valance framing is exactly the same as the bottom, pretty much. And I mounted all my lighting in the backdrop first, and boy, am I ever happy I did, because it really saves you a lot of grief if you plan your model railroad. So you can see the wiring, you know, it can get ugly fast. I try to keep it neat. Like, this isn't my favorite part of model railroading, but it's essential. Like, it has to be done. Like, it makes the whole experience doable and achievable, because model railroads need wiring, right? So I'll just mention about the lighting. I'm in the lighting phase. I'm using just a couple of systems, just a standard system with switch for lights that don't need dimming. And then you can see I'm kind of went a bit crazy with some of the just plug system. I actually quite like it. Some people say it's expensive, but just defer a locomotive and it's not so expensive. I mean, it's all relative, right? But these blue expansion hubs, I can run 4 of these light hubs off of these, and it has another out where you can run basically another line to another expansion hub, and 4 more light hubs, and the little green expansion light hubs as well. And the advantage to them is that you can basically dim them and control the mood of the scene. And so far on River Road, I've got quite a bit of lighting, and I'm sort of hooked on it now, and I'm really getting into it. And I'm finding that the more lighting you install as part of the modeling process, the more profound impact the whole experience has on you when you operate the layout in a low lighting condition. Like, here's one switch, like a plate I put in with just a switch here. This is just for the lightning effects that I put in the tree module. Okay, I was just trying that out, and I couldn't believe it. Like, when I turned the lights off in the room, and then the other supporting ambient lighting on the layout, and when the lightning effects coming out of the trees and stuff, it was just, it actually blew me away. Like, I thought, whoa, this is like on another level, right? So lighting is another part of model railroading that we think of maybe near the end of things. And when you build a smaller shelf layout like this, sometimes you can get to the end of things quicker than you would on a larger layout. And therefore you learn more in a shorter span of time. You learn way more because the whole project and the footprint is smaller, and you get to touch all the aspects of what is required to build out a fully fledged model railroad, okay?